Humankind cannot gain anything without first giving something in return. To obtain something of equal value has to be lost. This is the first law of alchemy. Now, the first time I heard this saying was when I was watching an anime called Full Metal Alchemist. Like it's literally the intro to any episode in that based on that anime. And when I first heard this saying, it really caught my attention, it really captivated me, and it really intrigued me because I was like, this is deep and there's something of value. Like, what does it really mean? And I came to the realization that it is literally the basis of life itself. Because let's be honest, in order for us to gain something, it really doesn't mean of equal value because grace overrides that. And I'm gonna explain this later about grace overriding this. But in order for us to gain something, whether it's of equal value or not, we literally have to lose something. Now, is this unfair or is this fair? No, it's neither. Why is that? Because at the end of the day, it's already been put in the system. But who overrides the system and who controls the system? God. Now, if we understand that God overrides the system and God controls the system, we will literally understand that whether something of equal value or not comes into our life by us losing something, it really doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, someone who is greater than the system and someone who literally built the system knows better than us. And that literally now requires us to detach from ourselves. Because the best way of you always being in serious alignment with the system of God, in terms of us gaining whatever it is that He thinks that we need to gain, is by us losing ourselves, is by us distrusting ourselves, and is by us dying to ourselves, especially our intellect, especially our wisdom, especially even sometimes our experiences, because God can literally put new experiences in your life. That's a fact. But the main agenda of this video basically is total dependence on God, whether or not God is in control of the system and God overrides the system. But now, does that mean that God is an unfair God? No. Does that mean that He's an unjust God? No. Why is that? Because at the end of the day, there is a reason as to why God put this in the system. And just like I said, it's for us to always have total dependency on Him. Because at the end of the day, we cannot really understand everything in life because we are limited because of time. We cannot understand why this happens. We cannot understand why this happened. We cannot understand why this is going to happen. But at the end of the day, if we just learn to not be so predictive, being predictive isn't bad, but being predictive by trusting in God, relying on God, and depending on God is what really counts. Because there's a verse that really changed my life when I first heard it. And when I first understood it was everything happens for the good of those who love God and walk in His purpose. Everything. So whether you think something bad is happening in your life, it is actually for your good. Why? Just like I said, because God literally overrides the system and He literally controls the system. But you have to seriously detach from whatever it is that you think that is going to make your life happen in a certain type of way. If that means that you have to detach from certain outcomes, if that means that you have to detach from certain people, if that means that you have to detach from certain expectations, if that means that you even have to detach from certain things like materialistic things, and most importantly, if that even means that you have to detach from yourself. Because once you do so, once you detach from all the things that I've just mentioned, you're literally now allowing God to take control over you, your thoughts, the way you carry yourself, the way you act, the way you behave. That's how you will literally gain something of equal value and something of not equal value. Now let's talk about grace. Grace is what overrides the system. What makes God control the system in terms of like Him putting things to happen in our life is by us depending on Him, relying on Him, having faith in Him, and us trusting Him. But what overrides now the system is God's grace, favor, and mercy that He puts in your life. If God puts grace upon your life, especially when you feel as if He's given you something that you do not deserve, you feel as if He's given you something that you haven't worked at, you haven't earned this, but He's just given it to you, you have to be grateful about it. You have to be humble about it, and you should never allow pride to take control over you whenever God's grace is happening in your life. Because sometimes you may think that we are lucky. I personally believe I do not believe in luck. I only believe in God's grace, God's favor, and God's mercy happening upon whomever whomever's life that He's chosen these things to happen to. That's what I believe. Because sometimes you may feel like something has happened in your life and then you're like, wow, I'm lucky. No, you aren't lucky. It's just that God showed you mercy, God showed you His favor, and God showed you His grace upon His life. But you have to really come into the understanding of this. And once you come into the understanding of this, you will now acknowledge that you have to always remain in a constant state of humility, because you are not the author of your life, you are not the controller of your life, you are not the person who overrides your life. You're not the one who is supposed to say this is supposed to happen whenever it's supposed to happen. No, it's about you relying on God. It's about you depending on God. It's about you always looking towards God, because once you always do so, once you always be in a constant state of humility, especially knowing that grace, favor, and mercy is happening in your life, God will bless you with things that will even be 10 times more. Like, you will feel as if you have so much in your life to the point you're like, hey God, I have too much favor in my life. Like, you won't be ungrateful of it, but you will be so aware of it to the point you'll be like, God, there's too much happening in my life that I feel like I do not deserve it. But I want to say thank you, because I know this is not because of me. This is not because of my efforts. This is not because of what I have done. This is not because of my works, but it's simply because of you showing your love, your grace, your mercy, and your favor upon my life. So, this is where now the law of equivalent exchange comes into place. Like I said, it's overridden by grace, but in terms of it being controlled, is by us having faith, relying on God, trusting in God, and depending in God. But you really have to detach yourself. You really have to distrust yourself in order for you to not allow whatever it is that you feel as if you have to control to happen. That, because even this is like something I really try and do in my life, because if there's something about each and every one of us humans, is that we always want to predict something to happen in a certain type of way. But what if it doesn't? Are you going to now just stay there, complain, blame people, blame God? Or are you just going to say, God, there's a reason as to why this has happened? Because at the end of the day, luck does not control this world. Coincidence does not control this world. The enemy does not control this world. I do not control this world, but you. People do not control this world, but you. So the reason as to why this certain type of thing has happened is because you have allowed it to happen. And the reason as to why you have allowed it to happen is because you're trying to teach me something. So what is it that you need? What is it that you are trying to teach me? Is it that you're teaching me I need to depend on you more? Is it that you're teaching me that I need to trust in you more? Is it that you're teaching me that I need to rely on you more? Is it that you're teaching me that I need to be more patient, more kind, more loving, more generous, more detached? What is it that you're trying to teach me? And the moment now you start being in this constant state of being conscious of thinking in this way, God will always give you unlocks. You will literally gain the wisdom of God, not the wisdom of you, but the wisdom of God. So now, whenever something happens in your life, you won't even be phased, because you know that God controls this world. And now, even like I just said, whenever now grace happens in your life, you will always be like, Lord, thank you. So always remember that to obtain, you have to lose something. And most importantly, most likely, that means that you have to lose yourself. That means that you have to detach from yourself. That means that you have to die to yourself. That means that you have to die to your ways. That's the way you think. And now allow the ways and the thinking of God to control you. Because at the end of the day, if you allow the ways and the thinking of God to control you, it is inevitable for you to know how you will carry yourself, know how to move in life, know how to maneuver in life, because you're not controlling you based on you trusting yourself, based on your understanding, your intellect, or even your experiences. But no, it's because you know that God is controlling your life. God is doing whatever He knows that it is best for life to happen in a certain type of way towards your life. Bless.